We can write books, we can make art, we can design video games, we can create businesses. I mean, the creative abilities that we possess are actually quite amazing if you think about it. If you can only support creators who provide value and make you think, please consider contributing to my Patreon page the next time you watch one of my videos. Hello everybody and welcome. Today I kind of wanted to discuss a really fun topic for me, which is how the world came to be. I did not intend for that to be a rhyme, by the way, that just happened. But when it comes to the concepts of creation, we have so many different theories out there. I mean, you've got some theories that come from religious bases, like God created the world in 7 days, and we just have the memory or the thought in our head that it's older than that. You even have concepts like last Thursdayism, where everything was created last Thursday, and we all just have memories that tell us we've been alive longer, but we haven't actually been. And then you've got, the theories that more people believe in, like evolution, like the Big Bang Theory, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of different concepts about how the world was created, and how it came into existence and things like that. I know that Stephen Hawking made a movie at one point where he was trying to disprove God, and he said that everything essentially came back to a black hole. And what happened was the black hole, for whatever reason, blew up, and it released all of these things into the universe again and restarted the universe. And he's like, so there's no time in a black hole, therefore God can't exist. And I was like, well, that logic doesn't quite follow either, because how did the black hole get there? So these are kind of the issues that we face when it comes to creation theories. A lot of the time we have all these concepts and we can go back so far, but eventually you always hit up against this concept that something came from nothing, and none of us believe that that's possible, or very few of us believe that that's possible, if some of us do. Then again, some people believe some things that I just don't understand, like the people that believe that they can survive off of pure sunshine. Maybe they can, I don't know, but I haven't experienced that life, so who's to say? So when it comes to creation theory, we all kind of have to choose our own belief systems around how the world came into existence. And I know that I believe in God, but my version of God is very different from the religious context of God. I often say that if somebody asked me to define God, I would go with Einstein's concept of E equals mc squared. God is the E, and he created the rest of the equation, essentially. So I guess in many ways, I do believe that God created everything. The difference is my version of God is quite different from traditional versions. And the reason why I believe in God is because I guess you kind of have to have something that does create. And since we view conscious life as a rung above unconscious life, or, animals, and animals are a step above plants, and plants are a step above inanimate objects like rocks, it suggests that we view consciousness as at least a step closer to divine than any of the previous steps that we have been exposed to. Now, how close, we can't know for sure, but it does suggest that consciousness is what makes us human, is what elevates us to a closer to divine state. That's what allows us the ability to even question these concepts. So when I look at that, I go, okay, so then God would have to be ultimate consciousness, more than likely consciousness without physicality, which would mean pure energy, but not just energy, but pure thought energy. And I think energy and thought energy are essentially the same thing. What you're talking about is potential, unlimited potential. So that's what God would be, is the ultimate unlimited potential. And we, as individuals with consciousness, would have a certain level of potential within us as well. This is why we can create things. We can write books, we can make art, we can design video games, we can create businesses. I mean, the creative abilities that we possess are actually quite amazing if you think about it, because we can translate thought into physical things. Now, I'm not saying that we could just manifest out of thin air, but we can translate a thought and then use physical substances to make it come true, which, we're all so used to that we don't recognize how amazing that is, but it truly is amazing. So when it comes to creation theory, I tend to side with those who believe in simulation theory. Now, a lot of people say that evolution is definitely the way that the world works, and there is some evidence of that. But I know that evolution theory doesn't quite explain everything, such as random occurrences, luck, why it is we're attracted to certain people but not others, why things happen at specific times, why so much of what we can create, it depends entirely on timing. I mean, things like that just aren't really explained in evolutionary theory. You can get stuck in evolutionary theory, though, because in evolutionary theory you have the concept of everything comes down to an adaptation or a mutation that you have developed. So you could say that all these things are adaptations, and then you get kind of stuck in a loop, because then you have to go find the adaptation and explain it, and then if something else happens along the way, you go back and find another adaptation. I explained this concept in another video too, where evolution theory just kind of goes in circles, similar to law of attraction, where if you try to get something but don't, then you aren't in alignment with it, so you have to go back and try to figure out how you're not in alignment, and then if you don't get it, you have to go back and figure out how you're not in alignment, and it's just kind of a whole loop thing going on. So evolutionary theory doesn't quite include everything, but simulation theory could include evolution, which is one of the reasons why I find it so intriguing. Also, I came from a family of computer programmers, and I have done some computer programming myself. And as a programmer, that pretty much every piece of code comes down to binary at some level, zeros and ones. So if you look at that and you go, well, all these things we can do with programming, it's amazing that they can all ultimately be whittled down to zeros and ones. So simulation theory would be a similar concept, where there are so many things you can do with it, but it all comes down to a basic unit, which we generally call atoms or particles, or things like that, where we're built up of some substance that doesn't exactly have a specific form, but joined together can create anything. So simulation theory makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm definitely not an expert on simulation theory. It's actually something that I've been studying recently, so it's not something that I've looked into very much. But I think to a certain degree I've always believed that we live in something of a simulation. One of the cool things that I have discovered, and I have to thank Aaron Doughty for this one, he suggested the book Reality Transurfing. And it's kind of a technical law of attraction book, so, it could very easily go over your head. I know that I have to re-listen to certain aspects over and over again. But he talks about how if you want to make something happen with your life, all you have to do is kind of translate yourself through realities. And this kind of goes along the lines of scientific theories of parallel universes and whatnot. Parallel universes, by the way, I believe, is a form of simulation where you have different things playing out on different versions of Earth and whatnot. And since the universe is unlimited as far as we can tell. You never run out of data, so it doesn't have to become less focused like simulations within our own head do. So when it comes to reality transurfing, you can kind of choose the reality you want to live in and translate your consciousness to another parallel world. Of course, you wouldn't necessarily notice that it's a parallel world because it could be different in only one minor aspect. So you wouldn't necessarily know. But the question that I have in simulation theory and in regards to this kind of concept is, to what extent do we have control over the simulation as the participants of the simulation? And consciousness suggests that we do have some control, because we even can ask the questions. We can even consider the ideas, which suggests that if this is a simulation, we've been given the ability to change it in some aspects. And the ways in which we can change it are only limited by our capability of coming up with how to change it. So there must be some things that we couldn't really think of, like it wouldn't even be an option to think of, and that's what we couldn't change. But you can't know what you don't know. So we're not limited in that aspect, because we just don't know what we can't do. Also, we don't really know what we can do. It's such an individual thing. But there's a lot of freedom in this concept, and it's very fun to explore. Now, I know that a lot of people like control and certainty, so you probably don't like this video too much if you're one of those people. But if you're like me and you kind of like to explore these abstract realms of thought, this concept is a really fun one to mess around with in your head. You can take it in all these different ways, and then you can start to experiment in life and, see how much this applies and what you can really do. And you can, to a certain extent, throw out some of your old belief systems and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna live like I don't know anything. And from that perspective, I can do anything because I don't know that I can't. And it's not entirely possible, but I actually think that this is a very good perspective to have when it comes to living life, because we don't know what we're capable of. So limiting ourselves by putting concepts like you can't do that, isn't going to help. We can't change anything if we believe that we are incapable of change. We can't change anything if we believe others are incapable of change. We can't do anything if we believe that it's impossible to do it. It's that whole $1 million thing. Who's more likely to get $1 million? The person that believes it or the person that doesn't? And obviously the person that believes it is far more likely to achieve that goal. So if we can free ourselves from expectation and societal belief structures and free our minds so that we're not held down by the systems that we live in, we can really start to test human potential, and we can really start to see exactly what role we play. Because while we are this advanced creature with conscious capabilities, I don't believe we know close to anything about our true potential. So it's a fun thing to explore. I definitely recommend that you try doing some research on this subject as well, and figuring out where you want to go with concepts like this and how much fun it can be to play with this stuff. Fair warning, people could call you crazy. Possibly. I'm always worried that people will call me crazy. Ironically, it hasn't happened yet. I have called myself crazy a couple times, but I tend to come off as too logical and too rational for people to call me crazy, and if they do call me crazy, they say it jokingly. So, there is always the potential that you will come off as crazy or insane or something like that. The question then becomes, which person would you rather be? The insane person who loves life or the rational person who hates it? And personally, I'd rather be the insane person who loves life. And if I end up in a mental institution, well, they probably won't keep me very long because I'm not a threat. So whatever the case may be, that's kind of how life will work out for me. Oh my gosh, I keep rhyming today. I don't know why this is happening. It just is. Maybe it's because I keep getting 1111 on the clock and stuff. Just in sync today. I don't know. But that is everything I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Definitely click the like button or subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell, and if you have any questions or comments or ideas for future videos, or, you know, issues that I didn't discuss in this particular video that you would like me to expand on, feel free to leave those in the comments. So, thanks for watching. I will talk to you again soon, and bye.